No, it's nice to be here. I'm Mark Bates. I'm a principal in the Advanced Systems Group at Continuum, and I've been learning a lot this morning. It's been great so far, so thank you. Continuum actually is right up the street in West Newton. We're a design and innovation consultancy. We focus on improving people's lives and growing businesses. We're about, in Boston here, we're about 140 people. We do have offices in Los Angeles, Milan, Shanghai, and Seoul. And we have a broad range of capabilities that we offer to our clients, from design strategy and business strategy to brand design. Service design is a growing part of our business. And I'm in the Advanced Systems Group, where we try to balance kind of technology integration with human-centered design. I'm fortunate to work with a broad range of people at Continuum. As the company has grown from kind of traditional product development 30 years ago, with this crazy idea of actually collaborating with mechanical engineers and industrial designers, to expanding to today we have anthropologists, psychologists, strategists, industrial designers, mechanical engineers, a really nice broad group of people. I bring this up not to pitch you on Continuum, although I don't mind doing that. I bring this up because collaboration is really fundamental to what we do. You know, in Sebastian's chart, I'm the happy face that's just the designer. We don't manufacture anything, but we collaborate with everybody, with ourselves, with our other studios, and our other clients. Our clients here are local, national, and global. So the ability to function and collaborate effectively is really core to our business. And so understanding that and looking at ways to improve that is a constant effort. A quick snapshot here into some of the context of our collaboration. In our West Newton studio here, we have fairly large open studio space where I have my desk. We have a fair number of dedicated project rooms where a team can go with all their stuff, with all their artifacts, and work kind of heads down. We've got shared project spaces and conference rooms, and we have studio space with shop facilities and photo studios and wet labs and so on. So a nice mix in terms of the environment that we're in. Here's a snapshot just the other day I grabbed to share, because the group that was having this meeting was kind of excited that they got to this point where they were able to connect with 3 other studios remotely. Our LA studio in Milan on one system and Shanghai on a third system. You can't see it here, but on the wall we're using WebEx to share the content across all 4 offices. And this is a nice example of what you know, day to day, what we struggle with in terms of kind of a worst case scenario in terms of collaboration and IT. You know, you're working with a couple of different applications to get the video, the audio, and the content sharing to work simultaneously and seamlessly. And we all know that doesn't happen very often. Hope you can see this slide. In terms of kind of taking a step back and looking at collaboration, which we're in the process of doing because it is so important to our business and our clients' business, certainly technology is a big part of it. We've got the hardware, we've got the software. We have a fairly good size IT group because of the importance that technology plays into our ability to collaborate. And they're managing, and the technology manages voice, image, and content. But another important aspect of collaboration is really the context of the collaboration. I think it's been touched on a few times here this morning already. And that's really the space and the culture and kind of the methodologies that we use to collaborate. I showed you a variety of spaces. When I think of a collaboration, I instantly think of a small group of people in a small space with a whiteboard and a table, kind of heads down, arguing, battling over an idea or a problem. And certainly that's part of it. But we've kind of gotten to the point where we recognize, as many of you do, that collaboration really happens everywhere and virtually 24/7, right? So it's in that room, It's at my desk, it's in the hallway, it's in the car, it's at home, it's at the airport, and technology has got to facilitate that context of use going forward, right? And of course, the last area here, and I think the most important, especially as a human-centered designer, is what is that experience as a collaborator, as an individual in that group, and as a group, the dynamics within that group. And when we look across all these, there's certainly a lot of overlap between them, but I'm especially interested in how that group is behaving and feeling, and how productive they are in a sense of their accomplishment in meeting the goal of the collaboration. We've dabbled a little bit here in history. I won't go so far back as the 1300s, but we can go back to the 50s and 60s. And as a designer, it's kind of fun to think about how things have changed over the last 20 or 30 years. And this is a little bit before my time, but not too long ago, designers, worked in studios and very hierarchical arrangements, and I had a desk and maybe, if I was lucky, a phone. I put my head down, I worked, I handed in my drawing, and that's how I collaborated and worked for the day. Today it's a little bit more interactive, right? I still have a desk, and I don't have one phone now. I have multiple phones, and the chalkboards, for the most part, is gone. We have whiteboards, but I took this. Knowing that we were going to get together and talk here today, I spent 20 minutes and just did kind of a mental dump of the tools that I use as a designer. And, it's more than the phone and the vellum and the drafting table. It's pretty extensive. And I'm not done. This is a sampling, right? And if we all did this, we'd fill the page. Really interesting to just kind of map out, what are those tools and technologies that I use for work? What do I use for home? Which ones do I use more often? Which ones do I use less? And no surprise, right? There starts to be this convergence of my consumer products making their way into my daily work life. And vice versa, these enterprise systems are becoming less expensive and more accessible in my home life. On a day-to-day basis at Continuum, several times a week, again, kind of this worst-case scenario of trying to collaborate with my remote team members, whether they're on my client side or whether they're within Continuum just at a different location. And so what are the barriers that we all struggle with on a day-to-day basis? Typically, it's mismatched applications, hardware and software. Network bandwidth, we're discovering, is such a significant component to the effectiveness and the seamlessness of our interactions. Login process. We're a consultancy, so it's not a closed system. We're constantly struggling with what Scott talked about of how do I interact and share and collaborate with several different clients, dozens of different clients, each of which have their own secure network and methodologies and technologies. But again, from a user point of view, what's the experience that we have? I conduct several of these a week, and I get anxious beforehand because I know something's going to fail, and that really irks me. We're a really lovely IT group, but I don't have an individual Michael like here to thank you. I'm glad you're nearby. Each one of my IT guys is on a speed dial because if anything goes wrong, I can't afford to have it fall apart on me. So you get frustrated when the audio drops. You've got a signal, but the audio drops, and the client who you just sent this new version of our content sharing application didn't quite understand the login process, so you got to talk them through. So by the time you're done, if it's an hour-long meeting, you could spend as much as 10, 15 minutes dealing with the barriers to collaboration. And again, from a human point of view, I lose focus, I get frustrated. It really takes away from what I'm supposed to be doing, what I love to do. Just as an example, I'm going to zoom in on some of the tools, or the more popular tools that I use. In particular, I'm going to focus in on Basecamp, which is content sharing basically a glorified FTP site. Anyone use Basecamp, heard of Basecamp? Anyone work for Basecamp? I gotta be careful. No, Basecamp's fine. Basecamp's fine. Basecamp allows us to send large CAD data, video files, large files in a secure way to send to our other offices or our other clients. And over time, and there's several products out there, beyond that core functionality, they've tried to enhance the offering, like many software applications do. They're trying to provide more value. And so there's a scheduling feature, there's a team member page, there's task management tools, there's messaging, which are all fine. But in an environment like Continuum, and I'm sure like at your offices, there's always the engineer or colleague that found a new, better application and sends it your way and like, oh, you got to try this task management tool. It's much more powerful than, and like you play with it, you dabble with it, and you move on. But quickly you realize that you go back to that page where I put all those applications that I deal with on a daily basis, and it is just overwhelming, right? Here's a snapshot of file sharing applications here at Continuum over the last 10 to 12 years. As you can see, there's a pattern. I started out burning disks and throwing them overnight, pretty straightforward and effective. And then, kind of the raw version of FTP showed up, and like, pretty cool. I don't have to go down and put my disk in an envelope. I can just electronically send it, and it's secure. A little tough to deal with the interface, and then a third party comes along, kind of cleans it up, lets you put your brand on it, and starts to look a little more professional, and you don't mind kind of utilizing it and leveraging it more and more. But as soon as the company evaluates, makes the decision, makes the investment, gets the IT group to kind of integrate it into our company, trains the employees finally get comfortable with it, share it with the client. As soon as you're done, someone's got the new idea that's a little bit better, that's going to make more sense. So again, multiply this by dozens of different tools and applications, and you start to throw your hands up, because I'm not a technology person. I'm not a technology geek. Sorry, Michael. But I'm a designer. I want to work on designs. I want to solve problems, and I don't want these things in my way. And from a firm that doesn't actually make anything, it's about innovation, it's about ideas. What's the impact to us as designers and our counterparts at our clients? What's the impact to innovation? How can innovation be more effective? How can we solve more problems and bring more good to both end users and businesses if we had a better system, a better way to collaborate? And certainly from a business point of view, what's the impact to the bottom line? If I'm wasting 25% of my employees' time dealing with the inability to integrate technology seamlessly, I've got a real opportunity there. So my last slide here is just thinking about going forward. And I know a lot of companies are working on this, ourselves included. But for that company or that solution that's able to solve that problem, to seamlessly integrate technology into the collaboration process, that's a pretty valuable thing. They're going to have quite a powerful offering. So thank you.